Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Community Crossfire, another point of view. We have a hot subject this evening, so tell folks to tune in. Something disturbing is happening in our community, in the police department. The story was broken first on this show as always. Had a phone call by Brother Dwight Davis, who's on the show, Brother Muhammad Salam, Brother Omar. And we're going to be discussing what's going on, and I'm hoping that we can have a really good dialogue, and maybe at some point we get to some resolution, and maybe we won't get to a resolution, but I'd like to get some really good phone calls in, and we're going to ask some really good questions. Before I begin, Beverly Money Jamerson, Beverly from South Bridge, just heard some disturbing news about your son, Twan. From Brother Richard, we send our prayers out to you and your family, because Southbridge family has always been a close-knit family. Sorry to hear about that. Also, I don't know if folks in Newcastle County know Mr. LeComp, who was the financial aid director over at Delaware State for many years. Many of us who went to Delaware State, we would have not made it without Mr. LeComp.
That's right.
Also, don't forget, if you could remind folks at least 70, 80 years old, I'm having a special day for guys from the Monday Club who are of that age on the 15th of this month. That's Wednesday. I felt compelled to put something together for these guys. I mean, I'm a person who just like history. I mean, I'm told that Jim Gilliam Sr. will be there, Mayor Jim Seals, and others. And I just hope a lot of these guys show up. So if it's guys like Lacey and these guys, Charlie Brown and Jakey and all those guys, I hope they all show up. Also, I want to give a shout out to my daughter Naya, happy birthday, and Jermaine, happy birthday. And also get in touch with Hanifa Shabazz and Marvin Thomas about, we're having an event for Marvin Thomas. Okay, let's get right into it. Allegedly, I have to say allegedly on the show, Brother Fahim, who's a police officer, and I guess been a police officer for 30 years, 20 years,
That's
whatever.
correct.
27. And a number of us know him. A number of us in the community
That's right.
know him. And,
That's
and a
right.
number of us in the community respect him.
That's correct.
And I see a number of you brothers had a press conference.
Right.
Upset because the N-word was used, and I'm going to let you explain it, and I guess during roll call.
Right.
And allegedly, brother, what you say? You talking to me? Brother Fahim goes to the officer whom he knew because these guys came through the rank.
He didn't go to him.
Okay, well, I'm just saying what I heard, and I'm gonna let you correct me. Okay, this is a dialogue, go back and forth. That what if someone called you the C word, like a cracker? How would you feel? And he goes to the chief of police.
That's correct.
This is what I'm hearing.
Right.
So what are you guys hearing, and what's going on?
Well, first of all, Norman, thank you very much for having us on. I am Dwight L. Davis, president of the Motivational Center Incorporated. I called your program. I think it's important to understand the sequence of things.
Okay.
I called your program, I guess about 3 weeks ago now.
Absolutely.
And what caused me to call was that there had been a great swell of support for Police Chief Christine Dunning when the mayor had made a statement that he wanted to make some changes at the top of the Wilmington Police Department. And the news reporters were reporting on the fact that it was Christine Dunning and possibly 2 inspectors that may lose their jobs. As a result of that, the FOP, the Fraternal Order of Police, sent a letter out to the mayor advising the mayor to stop meddling in police business. And there were several people on city council that also came out in support of Christine Dunning. My question was, why wasn't there any support, public support for Captain Fahim Akil? And the sequence of events was that this had occurred back in August. The facts are that it was around August the 20th. Well, I didn't really hear about it until I guess around October. So now here we are all the way into
January.
New Year. And it's really nothing being discussed about this matter. So that's what caused me to call.
Can either you tell me what you heard or what's being alleged? What's going on?
Okay, what the conversation that I had, and I did have a conversation with Richard Smith, the president of the NAACP, and I also spoke with Chief Christine Dunning after a public safety committee meeting of Wilmington City Council. And what is being discussed is that at a roll call, and I'm finding out a roll call is where the shift is changing, and the sergeant is giving out assignments and information to the officers, that there was a general conversation among some of the European officers that after the shift they were going to go up to a bar and have some drinks. According to what I heard, the African American officer said, "Well, you know, that's a good idea. I'd like to go along as well." And so the European officer said, "No, that's not a good idea that you go." And the sergeant, because I wasn't there, the sergeant allegedly said, "Well, what's the problem? They don't allow niggers up there?" And so this was said, and then several days later, we're hearing that Captain Akil, who's known this sergeant for, I guess, 25 years, because he's been on the force, according to the News Journal, for 25 years. Fahim's been there about 30 years. So they're having a general conversation. And, you know, Fahim allegedly says to the officer, "How would you feel if someone referred to you, you know, as using the word a cracker?" And the way, I guess the way it's evolved is that the officer or someone went and said that Fahim actually called him that name. And as a result of that, charges were brought on Fahim.
Muhammad and Omar, let me let you two get in here. What are you hoping to see come out of this?
Well, hopefully, you know, we want justice come out of this, but you must understand the history. We have to understand the history of different organizations and how, you know, Noble had to come about for the representation of the African American
and Noble
police,
is
National Organization of Police, Black Police Officers, and how that has to come about and why. You know, cause, means, and effect. Why do things have to come about if there's the norm in any organization? Because there has been incidents that occurred that created a reason to preserve or protect a certain amount of people or a group of people. And so when you talk about fraternal order of police, you know, I've been a community activist over 36 years. I've dealt with the police department. I dealt with the police recruit classes, and a member of the Police Community Advisory Council, what is their suggestion that need to come back about, because that's the pulse of the community in relationship to the police community, leaders in the community, sitting on a board, getting information, becoming a liaison between the police department and the community. But when you said why things has happened in that perspective, because, you know, this has been going on for years. You know, let's go back to Dr. Plant, may God have peace be upon him, when he had to put a federal suit in for the way the tests were taken and the promotion within the police department, why that had to happen. And when that was won, you had Dennis Williams, Samuel Pratchett, and the DAP right down the street, back to back, getting ready to fight officers because of this incident. So there's some serious things going on in the police department.
I'm glad you brought that up. Omar, I want you to jump in here because
let me say this about Fahim. Fahim, we have encouraged him to stay on the police department.
Yes.
He's been catching hell, man, ever since he's been there, and I've been knowing him. I went down the dock the same time he became a police officer. With the beard. We had to go to EOC to get him to wear the beard. They had no ruling for a beard until he started wearing one. Then after he started wearing one, then he had, you know, charges put on him, etc. So I don't know. I don't know about the rest of the people in the community, but you know, the policing of our city is like we police Vietnam and the villages there. The policing in our city is like Iraq and Vietnam and Kuwait and the other places that they've been into. So this Fahim is one of the best officers in terms at conflict resolutions that we've had on the department in my whole 40-some years of being an activist. And when you say that originally the charge was harassment, all of us that know Fahim know that he's not that kind of person. Mm-hmm. So evidently I heard through the grapevine, because I got other people on the department that know what's going on outside of him, that the charge was harassment. And then when they found out that he wasn't the one that initiated the conversation, then the charge was reduced to something like misappropriating your authority or something. Let me say this and I'll stop. He did not talk to this man as a captain to a sergeant. He talked to him as an associate of friendship, quote unquote, in the department.
I was gonna dignify that because he's actually his supervisor, right?
That's right.
Right.
Being captain sergeant. Let me ask you brothers this right here, because we're gonna get some questions in right now. Do you think even coming out here tonight, do you, even with the press conference, do you think this in some way divides the police department by race? And with some of the issues that we're having, hear me out, with some of the issues we're having in our community, do you think that this right here is another issue?
Well, let me just say, I think that the city of Wilmington is polarized. The city administration is polarized around race, and I think that their tactics, as same as they with crime, they want to contain crime, and this internal racism, they want to contain it, and I think that's the reason, one of the reasons that this occurred in August, and here we are just discussing it 5 months later. And all of the efforts that have been to sweep it under the rug. They didn't want this. They don't want this to come out. And I think one of the reasons they don't want this to come out is because of the racial polarization, but because of the law. Go ahead.
Let me stop you there. Racial polarization. I mean, we've had like 3 black chiefs, right?
Well, I'm not familiar. Yeah.
I mean, who we had? We had Chief Pratchett.
We had
Boykin.
Boykin, and I'm not sure who else. But you don't. But you still think it's just internal.
Look at this right
let me
here.
just answer my point. The point is FOP.
Yeah.
It's the FOP, and my position is that Mayor Dennis Williams campaigned on being not hugging thugs and being tough on crime and bleeding blue, and my concern, and this is just me speaking,
That's okay.
that he has abdicated his authority to the FOP, because anytime the FOP can write a letter to the mayor, who campaigned as being the top cop, and question him about meddling in the Wilmington Police Department's business, then there's some kind of problem.
What you gonna say? Go ahead.
The policing of our neighborhoods. They label your neighborhood a crime area. And then they send in individuals that know nothing about the area. I had an 89-year-old woman at Wickenpack's meeting years ago who said that when she called the police on the drug dealers, the police told the drug dealers who called. The inspector at that time in the meeting said, I don't know anybody on the department would do that. And I asked him, well, where the hell do you live at? Right? So that's it. So when we talk about racism, when my brother was a police officer and we started the Black Policeman Association, the first one in the state, the way they got rid of him was the same kind of example that they're trying to do with Fahim. So when we talk about polarization, we've been polarized. Baker gave them time. Let the professionals handle the crime. Let's evaluate the last 10 years of their policing efforts in the area of reducing crime, not controlling it, reducing it. And we'll see that that's not happening.
Also, when you ask that question, would it cause a type of divide within the police department?
Right.
The answer is yes and no. When I used to address the police recruit classes, I used to say to them, the suit don't have no power. You, as an individual, when you come, you bring power to that suit. So therefore, you have good African American officers, good Caucasian officers, good police officers. But it's the point that over the years, there have been a group that has had majority control and influence within the police department and is allowed to utilize their strength and their efforts. And you got those who support it, because there's an old saying, the road to hell is paved with good intention. You know, I mean good, but then if you give me some authority to go out and do what I do with no consciousness or no respect in the community, then I'm gonna do it.
Let me ask a couple more questions, because I'm sure you're gonna get a lot of good questions when I open the phone lines up. And I don't know how close you are to the investigation. Have anyone come forward, right, who was in the roll call to say, well, I heard this guy, this sergeant, say we are not going to allow any Negroes in there, whatever you want to call it.
Well, let me just say this. When I spoke, when I personally spoke
Right.
with Chief Christine Dunning after the Public Safety Committee meeting, and I restated to her essentially what I'm saying here on this TV program, she never denied that in fact occurred. What she in fact said to me was that she was concerned that why there wasn't any other officer of supervisory rank that was there, why they didn't say anything about it. So she confirmed.
But people heard it. That's what I'm trying to get to.
It was a group.
And not only that, the chain of command went from that officer to another officer to the chief. So we don't want to play games with this. Right. All right, it went to another inspector and then to the chief.
When you say you don't want to play games,
Right,
Muhammad,
because-
when you say you don't want to play games,
Right.
what exactly do you want?
When we say I don't want to play games, is that, here for years, the citizens of this city is taught cooperation with the police department.
Right.
Well, any investigation, your cooperation will help resolve or solve cases. What is it that we don't have in common and have the respect for each other as human beings that we don't want the same thing? When we come and ask questions, why can't you give us honest opinion? I understand as a vice president, as a chief shop steward, I understand what they call steps, protocol. But you look, it's like, you're absolutely right. We're looking into this. I think that was wrong. You don't have to call names or whatever. You take that approach as a police officer.
Let me ask the question a different way. Is Captain Fahim, is he on suspension or anything?
No.
Is he being investigated?
According to the news journal, yes.
Well, I don't listen to
According to the charge.
So,
that's on him.
do you want a public apology from Chief Dunning?
And
what do you want? I'm trying to get to the bottom line here.
I'm going to say.
Say what you got to say. This is Crossfire. You can say whatever you want to say.
And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
But let me just say this. The same thing happened to Velda Potter.
Right.
The FOP, in my opinion, was responsible for her losing her position with the city administration.
Okay.
My concern is that, as I just mentioned, that our mayor, my brother, Dennis P. Williams, has a conflict in loyalties, duties, and responsibilities. He's not sure whether he wants to be a cop or he understands his oath as the mayor. And these two things are running together. So, it's not all just about Fahim Akil. It's about the community and the impact that this is having on our community in the midst of crime, rising crime.
Now, I want to talk about Captain Fahim though, because see, in the position of a captain responsibilities is also to enact policies, to represent, the highest level in the police department.
Right.
So therefore, what would you have an officer of that quality and that rank to correct a conversation on a professional level to add strength and esteem in your police department instead of reprimanding him for correcting someone. You know, you would constantly think now that the obvious is that this organization and this department is not about professionalism.
But do you want the sergeant to be reprimanded?
Listen,
you understand my?
listen,
you understand my point. I'm trying. I just want to hear what kind of
It's my
resolution.
understanding that the sergeant.
You understand my point?
has received a
You
slap
understand my
on the
question, right?
Yeah.
Do we want Christine Dunning?
That's done. That
What's
is
done?
What you're talking about now has already been done.
What's been done?
There were charges put on him.
Right.
Something happened to him.
Okay.
And we're not privy to it because of internal affairs.
That's-
and that's the problem that I got with the Wilmington
Okay.
Police Department.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Because every time we go to the internal affairs over the last 35 years of my life, whatever happened to the officer that was charged against from the community, we never found out if that person was adjudicated or anything. And these are people that we pay. We're tax people. We pay these people, and they tell you right now, it's investigations internal, and we're not allowed to talk about it. Well, hell, we're paying you. And you're going to tell me that you're not going to tell me what's going on in the department? Tell me that ain't racial something.
Let me go back. You said you think it's a deeper issue. You think it's
Absolutely.
the FOP. So it doesn't matter who's the chief then.
It does.
I mean,
Well, it does to an
essentially.
extent because who will stand up to them? Let me tell you this.
Well-
When I was chairman of the board of the Wilmington Housing Authority, we had a drug elimination grant. And when we had that drug rehabilitation grant, we had the officers in Southbridge, West Center City, the Riverside, the Bucket that we wanted there. Crime was reduced, according to James Baker, who was the mayor, by 22%. Arrest was reduced by 22%. Conviction by 22%. When I asked, Boykins was the chief of police. When I asked, why wouldn't you implement something like this for the whole city? The answer was the FOP would not approve that.
And the fact is that Mayor Dennis Williams is the chief. Let's be clear on that.
Is the chief of what?
Of the
Is
city. He's the commander-in-chief.
Wait a minute. Let me just say what
I
I'm saying.
want to hear what you're saying.
I'm saying
Because
that-
he's not the chief of police.
I'm saying he's the top cop, and he makes that clear. I'm the top cop, and he made the statement that whatever decisions are made rests with him. He says I'm the CEO, and I'm sure everybody's heard him say that.
But any mayor would say that,
Yeah,
right? But he's not the chief of police.
The department, they serve at the pleasure of the mayor.
Yeah, and all of his
All right,
directors
then.
do.
So he's the one that has the say.
He's just
why
like-
hasn't he spoken out? Why hasn't he spoken out on this situation with Captain Fahim Akil? When the FOP came out and said what they said about Christine Dunning, and half of city council came out and supported her, a day or two later, he was up there saying she's my chief, and now they're seen all over the place. Why would you take the most popular captain of the Wilmington Police Department and put him in the communication room in the building with all this crime going on in the neighborhoods? Because Captain Fahim, in his capacity, is not a part of the plan. And I'm speaking, the plan is to keep Wilmington destabilized almost to the extent of being ungovernable. And this is coming out of Dover.
But again, let me go back again,
Yeah.
Muhammad. We had this this dialogue, and I got to open these lines up, but I'm getting deep into this conversation. I'm glad I woke you up over there too.
Sure, thank you.
Go ahead.
But again, if we haven't quite, you said it was reduced over Riverside or wherever.
Yeah.
You know, well, I don't want to go.
And this was back in the 90s, late 90s.
But again, now we see statistics are saying that crime rate in our communities are at an all-time high. Now we have a situation with our own department. You know what I mean? I mean, this is real talk now. Okay, this is off the this ain't no Crossfire. This is real rap. So now we have some black officers, I'm assuming.
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know. And some white officers over here. Then you have the chief, and you have, taking sides, and people getting killed in the streets.
That's right.
What do you guys want done? What do you think the solution should be? Can I ask all three of you that one by one? Then I'm open the phone lines
Okay,
up.
what I think needs to be done.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
What I think needs to be done, there needs to be a federal investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice into not only the Wilmington Police Department, but also Wilmington Municipal Government.
All right, and to be supportive of that and to go along is there have to be reconstructions within that department. Reconstruction period. Because I say the police chief know Captain Fahim very well.
Do you think this put added pressure on him?
No.
No, he only had that demeanor.
How can you not say that?
He can handle it.
Because he can
I
handle
didn't
it.
say not handle it. I'm saying, but pressure.
Sure.
Michael Jordan can handle pressure, but
He
pressure is
can
pressure.
handle it. He expects it because it's been going on with him for 30 years.
Okay. Hey, let's open up the phone lines, Alvin. I appreciate that. And also, let me give a shout out to Mickey and Melvin. They always watch the show. Mickey, Melvin, I hope you guys are watching and
And
enjoying
my
it.
grandchildren, I hope y'all watching.
Yeah, and also orientation January 15th, Wednesday night at Moyer Academy. That's what you, Gandhi Jacobs. All right, so is there anything before you put up the phone? What you say? Give us the number. Well, I don't know the number. What is the number? 661 44 68. Is that it?
But you
661.
But you didn't give me a chance to.
No, I'm gonna let you. 661. Why they can't put up on them? Oh, there's a problem. 661 44 68. Only when you come on. See the phone lines break down. I'm sorry.
You said what do we want? What do we want out of this? I personally want the mentality of those in charge of the Department of Police and other city administrative officers to recognize that the citizens in the so-called crime areas are also citizens. See, because you can call the police, and if you get emotional and upset, you might get locked up in the so-called crime area.
How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Oh, Norman, this is Dinah.
How you doing, Dinah?
I work for the city of Wilmington. I'm just calling in reference to Captain Akil Fahim's situation. Fahim is a very, very good man and a very good officer. He has helped many in the community and within that police department. And he should not, as a man or as a captain and as serving the people of the city of Wilmington, because you can call Captain Fahim and he will help you in all situations. So whatever has to be done to handle that situation, it needs to be handled.
Hey, Donna, can I ask you a question? You are a union leader and a city employee for a long time. What do you think of this issue? Do you think that in some kind of way it's going to be divided?
Yes, it is. The police department has always been divided.
There you go.
They have what you call a white book. When the police officers do certain things, then it's handled by the police officers. And I think that should not be happening. It should be handled by someone else other than their brotherhood.
Right.
You know, they have that code of silence down there in the police department that is not fair to somebody who brings charges against the police department. We had an issue with the police department, a union member who was terminated because of an incident that happened on the police department where white officers were calling one of our employees' children porch monkeys and all kind of niggers and stuff like that. So we know that kind of stuff happens in the police department. It was in the paper.
Wow.
You know, but we won that grievance, and the employee was made whole. So I know that stuff happens down there, and I don't think whatever's happening to Brother Fahim should be happening to him in the Wilmington Police Department.
Thank you, sister.
Well, thanks for the call.
We feel the same way.
How you doing? Welcome to the show. Can you give me a pencil so I can write the number down? Because I'm sure I'm going to have to keep giving people the number because I don't know by heart. Go ahead. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, you want my number?
No, the number to the station. Go ahead.
Oh, the number to the station, that's the number I thought I was calling.
What's your question?
Oh, my question, I have a comment.
What's your comment?
My comment is about this racism going on, this institutional racism going on in the police department. After they get done with the red tape and all the political stuff that they're going to go through, they need to file a class action lawsuit. Now, I'm saying this based on experience with one of the corporations, Amtrak. I'm just going to put it out there. Racism is something that's so embedded in corporations, and believe me, the police department is a corporation. You have to file a class action lawsuit. You cannot look the other way.
Okay, thanks for the call.
Okay.
How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Norm. Pastor D here, and good evening to your panel. Great and honest and frank discussion. I echo all of these sentiments with respect to Captain Fahim. However, we who have been activists in Wilmington for some time know, and it must be stated, that the Wilmington Police Department and Wilmington in general has been a place where racial bigotry and disrespect has been tolerated. And I think in answer to your question of what needs to be done, what we should want and what we should demand is that every top official, in this case, the chief of police, should publicly make a declaration that racial comments and racial treatment on any side will not be tolerated.
Pastor D, let me ask you a quick question. And again, if someone wants to call, the number is 661-4468. 661-4468. So you are an ambassador now with the mayor's office. Will you have any contact with the police department in your capacity?
Actually, Captain Fahim is my co-partner, and the mayor's confidence in Captain Fahim is exhibited in the fact that he is, in fact, our liaison with the police department, and has been the sole officer, Norm, who has been responsible for removing guns from the street and the surrender of several people wanted for mayor peacefully. So yes, the short answer to your question is yes.
Thank you. All right, bye-bye. Did anybody want to comment to anyone?
No.
Again, the number is 661-4468. They're not putting it up on the thing. 661-4468.
I guess, when we talk about this whole culture of policing, I go back to my friend, Mayor Dennis P. Williams, who I've tried to help for at least the last year he's been in office. But see, I think Dennis, the mayor, has been a part of the culture out of Dover for the last 18 years. And it's a culture in Dover, and that has been is being implemented in the city of Wilmington, and I think that.
So Dwight, you said a few times you landed in the lap of the mayor, and I don't think that's fair.
Well, we're not talking about what's fair and what's not fair. We're talking about what's best for my community. That's what's important. Before the mayor was mayor, I was a citizen in the city of Wilmington. And we have the right to have human rights, and so when you bring a government into the city of Wilmington that almost becomes like a tyrant, tyrannical, those of us who aren't afraid are going to speak out.
Hey, we got a phone call. Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Abba Bey.
Islam.
And, peace be unto all of you. And I want to say about Brother Fahim, I met Fahim at Brother Umar's house maybe 30 years ago. And Brother Dwight brought Brother Fahim to my home on the day that a European policeman pointed a gun at me and was going to shoot if it had not been for another European sergeant. Now, when Dwight brought Brother Fahim to my place of stay, Brother Fahim protected and talked very well for the European policeman.
Thanks for your call. Anybody want to make a comment? Again, if you want to join in on the conversation, the number is 661-4468, 661-4468. You can always talk on this show.
They have destroyed the Underground Railroad mentality in the city. And that's why we having the major problems we have with the policing. Because again, I'd say if you label our neighborhoods a crime area, and then you send rookies of another race into our neighborhoods that don't know nobody, you're creating.
You're getting a little too loud on this.
You're creating a problem that those of us who've been trying to prevent crime for the last 30, 40 years, if you're not listening to us on how to deal with this situation, then that's how it's gotten to the level that it's on. Because we got cities around the country that have had these kind of problems, and they put officers in the neighborhoods who was instrumental in reducing the crime.
Let me ask you, I can't let you get away with that one. So are you saying, I want to get this clear, are you saying that you put the white officers in the white neighborhoods and the black officers in the black neighborhoods?
I say we put the officers with the sensitivity of the neighborhood, whether they're black or white, but you know the sensitivity before you send them in there. Gotcha. And that's not happening.
It goes.
How you doing? Welcome to the show. Let's get a call. How you doing?
Yeah. I'm glad I got through on this. I was listening to the program tonight that our brother Dwight called in about that. And I'm glad y'all did not let this go. I am glad. Charles Potter had a man on his program today. His name is Jerry. All four of you brothers up there should get with Charles Potter and get with this gentleman. And I'm going to tell you, this may solve the problems that we have in the police force and in the streets of the city. This man, when Charles went to the sports, this man sat up there and looked like he was right bored, where they should have discussed more of what this man was talking about today.
Well, you might want to call Charles and ask him, because I'm kind of lost on this one.
But let me say this, Norm. I think it's important to understand how crime comes about. And I believe that crime is manufactured. I don't believe that crime is a coincidence. That the crime in Wilmington is controlled out of Dover. The city of Wilmington really has no control over the rise and fall of crime. The Department of Corrections, the Department of Education, Department of Health and Social Services, the governor of the state of Delaware, he is in a position to try to effect and reduce crime. And that's one of the problems that we're having.
Do you think they should, let me ask you, do you think they should abolish FOP? Do you think they should get rid of that organization? Do you think they should get rid of Noble?
No. I mean, because what other outlet you going to have of representation if the system fails?
Got you.
Okay, so let's go back, because you know how the unspoken word in the community and subtleness is exemplified in the community by those who really don't want the light of understanding to prevail. We don't want people to say, oh, well, they were just racist, they were just talking about racism and so forth. We're talking about right. As I said about police officers, African American, European, that's a job, there's a dignified job in our society.
And it's funny you bring that up, Brother Muhammad. You know, when I did read the article, and I went to the comments, I don't know if you read the comments, and they said that it was about, you guys were making it about race. Right. Like you know, that word, you know, no one really knows, but now it's being divided.
That's the first subliminal word or they use.
How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Based on what's being said tonight, if what has happened is the white officer said to the black patrolman, called him the N-word, and Fahim came in to defend the black officer and asked the white officer how would he like it if he was called the C name. Why is the onus placed on the second guy? I mean, you would think that since he was defending the first person, you would think the first person should be getting all the attention and the persecution.
Okay.
Why come at the second person?
Okay, 661, anyone want to call in? The number is 661-4468. Go ahead.
But understand, as a representative of the police department, let's not look at the fact of what was said and done. Okay? The correction as a professional in an organization that has no place for these names, these words in the workforce. Just like the sister said, in the workforce. It should not be tolerated as a police officer. So if I'm a captain and I'm doing my duty.
Should the sergeant be reprimanded and suspended?
Some kind of form of disciplinary action should have been, and I heard that it had been. That's what I heard.
Well, I think yes. In this perspective, listen. Just like if I went to you and I said, listen, allegation was brought about this individual. What do you have to say about it? And the point would be, no, just leave it alone. I have nothing to say. I'm not going to farther this. I'm not going to pursue this. So people pursued it to cause the act. See, that's why I say it was pursued.
How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Good. Two things quickly, Norm. I'm enjoying your program. I just want to ask, maybe one of the panelists can tell me, why was the officer in the paper, after reading the article, it said the officer, Noel, was disciplined, but Fahim was charged? Can you tell me why when basically they both not did the same thing, but why was he disciplined and Fahim charged? One more thing I want to say, Captain Fahim is a well-respected man, has been in our community. When I had a nephew that was killed in, one of the shootings, Fahim was there, for my family. He was there after it was all over, and I'm quite sure a lot of families here in this state, Fahim has been there for them. He is well respected, and this community loves Fahim.
Hey,
and
Josie.
people need to know that.
Hey, Josie,
and whatever we can do
Josie.
to get behind Fahim, we're going to be there.
But Josie, what was your question?
I want to know, why was the police officer disciplined, and why was Fahim charged?
Okay, thank you. Why was he? The number again is 661-4468.
Because he has never, ever bought into the foolishness that goes into at the department in terms of the racial separation. He's been fair with officers that he didn't like personally, but he was always fair and just because that's the human being that he is.
All right. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Yes.
You got to turn your TV down. Call back. Cut your TV down. 661-4468.
The other thing about discipline, Fahim just recently became captain. He's on probation for a year.
Wow.
Any incident that is
So
brought
do you
up,
think that? So you think this?
any incident that is brought up can tarnish his record and reduce him back to where he was.
Is he appointed, or is he married? In other words,
he was promoted.
Promoted. So like at certain levels, right? Inspectors and
the inspectors are the roles that were picked by somebody.
Got you. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hello, Norman. You got a great panel tonight, but I'd like to know, where is Attorney General Bo Biden, who's a Democrat? Where is he on the crime in the city?
That's
He's
right,
never
brother.
anything. He's the top chief of law enforcement in the state, and it's a disgrace. He keep getting reelected and never saying anything about the crime in the city of Wilmington. It's a disgrace. He shouldn't be reelected coming up this year. And I'm a Democrat, a snark Democrat. This is Rick Williams speaking.
All right, thank you, Rick.
But it was another point I wanted to bring up about the problem in our community. It's poverty. You don't have to be a freaking rocket scientist to understand that all over the globe, every major country that follows the European, the Western civilization's concepts are having the same problem with crime in those communities. There ain't nobody there but one race. Because poverty breeds all these kind of problems.
But you're not blaming all the crime on the police department, right?
I'm blaming poverty for the cause of crime in everybody's community.
Got you. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Yes, I'm calling because I didn't quite get a response to what the question was asked by Josie about why was one disciplined and the other one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's ask them that question again. How you doing? But turn your TV down too. Turn your TV down a little bit.
Well, let me restate what I said in the beginning, that at roll call, the officer called the European officer called the Asiatic black officer a nigger. At roll call, everybody was there. Now, I can understand the reason that the sergeant was disciplined, but for the life of me, I can't understand how charges were brought against Fahim.
And charges were brought against him.
Charges were brought against. But let me say by who. Charges was brought against Fahim by the chief, Christine Dunning.
Hold on for a second.
She brought charges against Fahim.
And it came up through the chain of command, is why he's saying about Dennis. He's still the head man in charge, just like
But
Barack
he can't.
Obama. He can
But
have
then
work.
1 minute you want the man to meddle in it, then next minute you
No,
don't want him
no,
meddling.
no. We
ain't
not the
talking about-
FOP.
no, we ain't saying
The
nothing about
FOP
don't meddle.
accused him of meddling.
Okay.
We
How you
tell
doing?
him- we
Welcome
tell
to
him
the
do
show.
his job.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
And he appointed.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that I think that you need to let these brothers finish their comments before you cut them off.
Okay, I'll do that right now. Go ahead, finish your comment.
No, I just wanted to say that, you see the polarization. The mayor is the top cop. He campaigned on that. And this is Dwight L. Davis saying that the FOP appears to have more power and say in policing. And the effect of that is that in 1 year, we had a young man that was tasered and died. We've had other individuals that's been tasered by the police. There's a class action suit against the Wilmington Police Department. So all of this is happening because there appears to be a lack of
How you doing? Welcome to the show. Turn your TV down for a second.
leadership.
How you doing? Welcome to the show. Turn your TV down, please, so we can hear your question. That's okay.
And we ain't going to let city council off the hook either.
Okay.
Let me,
How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
My name is Najee. I'm a child, and my father, he was tased several times by the Wilmington Police Department, and he was taken away from me for 4 months. And I just wanted to tell you that.
Okay, thank you for your call, bro.
And let me
Young
tell
folks
you this.
call.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this. I got a video that I'm waiting for this thing to be adjudicated, that I want to show everybody in the city of Wilmington how they police in our neighborhood.
How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, brother, I just want to say, man,
We here.
I want to just say, how you doing, brother Norman?
How you doing?
I want to say, man, the situation with Norman, man. Fahim, Captain Fahim. I don't think that's fair to him, man. And it's crazy, man. What's going on here in Wilmington, Delaware, man? Dennis Williams is not stepping up to the plate like he's supposed to. I don't think things is going the way they're supposed to. We got to get a hold on this stuff, man.
Okay, thank you. If you want to call in, the number is 661-4468.
I personally, I'm speaking for me now.
Sure, go ahead.
I don't want to just lay it on Dennis's. I want to put it on the whole city council, because city council came up and supported Christine, Dwight tells me. And so now that all of them, I'm sure all of them know Captain Fahim Akil. I had a prosecutor, a defender from the public defender's office, when she was talking to another brother, she said, "Oh, him? Not him. He's the most elegant police officer I met in my life. Kind and considerate, and I just love him." So we got at least 10, 15,000 people in this city, or more, that know Fahim as a personal human being.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you just tuned in, you know we have conversations. We talk about any issue on this show, and we open the lines, and we're gonna ask tough questions.
That's right.
Because this is Community Crossfire, and I hope that you enjoy the kind of programming that we bring to you. A lot of the information you get on this show, you read it in the paper, then you believe it. That's what they do. They believe it. Now they all read it in the paper, now they believe it. And we talked about it. You said 3 weeks ago, right? Now, Nancy Williams, a person, will put it on her blog. Well, Norm, you broke this story. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Norm, how you guys doing?
Good.
Okay, brother.
I talked to all three parties was involved. Dennis Williams.
This is Richard Smith, the president of the NAACP. So I just need to let your title get out there, Richard. Go ahead. What you say?
Okay. I talked to Dennis Williams, the mayor, Fahey, and the young officer was involved. Okay, and I asked Dennis the first time it happened. I wanted to talk to him, and we wanted to step up to it. He asked me to step back and let him take care of it. That officer would be disciplined. I went to Fahey to ask Fahey what could the NAACP do, and Fahey said step back right now and stay out of it for men. And then I went to the young officer to find out the real problem, what happened and stuff. It got out of control because of the chief. The chief, whoever got into her ear, and
everybody got right to make a charge against you. Okay? Most time charges are wrong. In the union and stuff, people put charges, grievances against each other and stuff. But her panel decide, and this is, I haven't talked to her. They decide that Faheem should be charged.
And Richard, as the president of NAACP, are you guys investigating this? I saw where you had, I think Noble, you had the brothers from the
National Association of Black Police Officers.
From the MAS. Is the NAACP getting involved with this issue?
Yeah, we're involved, man. Today on our TV show, we talk about almost everything dealing with the police and the black
I'm talking about this issue right here. Are you dealing with this issue?
Yes, and we're willing to work with the white, and the white and I talked today.
Okay.
And we are going to put this state investigative committee together on crime.
You heard it here first. All right, thanks, Rich. Heard it here first. You know, and like the guy called, right, and said, "Let you talk." We only got an hour.
That's right.
We can't.
We understand.
We won't get.
We understand the dialogue between the community.
We won't get information like this.
Exactly.
We won't get the NAACP president who's watching the show giving us this information. So I got to keep it flowing.
You got to keep flowing.
We're gonna take one more call. I'm gonna close it up and let you guys talk. Is that okay?
Okay.
Tell me what you do on my damn show. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hello.
And I'm paying. I pay for this show, by the way.
And this is Jaden, and I was calling because I think, from my point of view, that if it was more officers like Brother Faheem, that the neighborhood would be a lot safer.
Wow.
And
Well, he's getting a lot of outpouring of love. That's a good thing.
because the simple fact, because there's a lot of new policemen that don't that do not know young black children in the neighborhood.
You know what?
And harassing the young children.
How old is he?
How old are you?
I'm 15.
Okay, but you know what I'm hoping, and I'm hoping that this dialogue, and I want to say thank you to my panel, because I let you be open, and this is never staged. We don't sit in the back and say this is the questions.
That's right.
I'm hoping that there be more dialogue, at least in the police department, because they are on the front line of what's happening in our communities, as you said, Brother Omar. And I think that that's even a bigger issue. And I want you guys to speak on that. How much time we have? And again, this show is being dedicated to Mickey and Melvin. Mickey and Melvin always watch the show, and our love and goes out to Beverly Money and Beverly Money Jamerson and her family. I think you got like 10 seconds or so, 15 seconds.
Well, I just want to say that you can follow more of what I have to say on this issue and other issues concerning city government on my Facebook page and videos on YouTube. And I just hope that Mayor Dennis P. Williams becomes more humble and willing to not sweep things underneath the rug when it comes to crime.
Muhammad, real quickly.
And my thing is, once again, as a community, we all have a duty and responsibility. Work is dignity, dignity is work. All organizations are going to bring about peace and safeguard in the community. We're not trying to single out any individual, but right is right and wrong is wrong.
Brother Omar, real quickly.
I just want the viewing audience to recognize that we're all human beings and we're all in this boat together, regardless of what the issues are. Our first obligation is to the human family, not the black, not the white, not the Hispanic, but the human family. And if we could learn that as citizens of this great country, we'll be better off as leaders in the world, which we're supposed to be, and people say that we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, another great show. We have to do more of these. I got a lot of response. I don't know if you saw last week's show with the panel we had on last week, because it was dialogue. And dialogue is important.
Yes, sir.
We can agree to disagree, but we have to have dialogue to do some good things. And the guys who came on last week, we got a lot of response. And don't forget, Uganda's having the orientation on January 15th. At Moria Academy. And also, and if you know any members 70 years older from the Monday Club, please let them know that I'm having an event for them. And we're having some good people. And I just hope and Bob Vanderhost, congratulations to you, Bob. I'm sorry I forgot that. And I just hope at some point, man, that they really honor and give something to Mayor James Seals.
Thank you, grandchildren, for calling in.
Thank you for the shout out. And I'm going to debate you at some point too, man. We're going to mix it up. Come on, get out of here. I'm out of here.